graduation, and our very first presentation this evening is Lieutenant Colonel David TBone Trombly, United States Marine Corps retired. Lieutenant Colonel Trombly retired as the Reserve Naval Senior Marine at NAS Whiting Field in 2019 and continues to serve and train our future Navy, Coast Guard, and Marine aviators as a federal contractor and flight instructor. T-Bone is a 20-year cancer survivor and advocates for medical choice and informed consent. He is a staunch advocate for medical freedom and a COVID survivor himself, with the help of early outpatient treatment by one of our own Panhandle Doctors for Truth. A published author and speaker, T-Bone serves in our local area as a chaplain with multiple local organizations. He has stood with us since the beginning, advocating for our military's health and religious freedoms, which are rapidly being eroded, not only from our brave military soldiers, but from us all. Lieutenant Colonel Trombly, come share your sobering updates on the challenges with which our local Marines and all service branches are burdened. Welcome to you on the stage.
Thank you, Dr. Boyle. I want to thank Dr. TBone and the Panhandle Doctors for Truth for their support of the military. I want to thank him for their bravery, providing us early therapeutics and those medications that actually work, and doing it at their own jeopardy of losing their jobs, their licenses, and their livelihoods. Tonight we'll hear from some of these brave frontline warriors, and I got to spend the last 2 days listening to them speak. I'm blown away by their moral courage. I'm blown away by how much knowledge they have, and I'm thrilled that you came out to hear what they have to say. I fly 25 years in the Marine Corps. I recently took off the uniform of our beloved Marine Corps and now serve as a federal contractor up at Whiting Field, where I train the ensigns of the Coast Guard and the Navy and the Marine Second Lieutenants. Fortunately, as a federal contractor, the courts have given us a stay of execution on the mandate requirements so that I didn't lose my job back in November, December, which was expected. But tonight I want to talk to you about the state of the military, because they have not found the same support in the courts. I wish to begin reading an excerpt from Marine Corps Order 1730.9, titled, Accommodation of Religious Practices in the Marine Corps. This was signed 12 July 2021 by our current Commandant of the Marine Corps, David Berger. I quote, an expression of sincerely held beliefs may not be used as the basis of any adverse personal action, discrimination, denial of promotion, schooling, training, or assignment. Yet in spite of this order, in September, during the frenzy of the mandates, I learned of 13 Marines right here at MATSIG 21. Of those 13 Marines, of which were singled out for not taking the shot, 2 were flight instructors. The other 11 are students that I would have had the privilege to train as their instructor. In spite of the shortage of flight instructors within the Marine Corps, 2 of our high-time flyers were grounded. Had the students been continued to train, some of them would be in follow-on training aircraft at this time, and a few would actually be in fleet aircraft defending our freedoms, not fighting for theirs in the courts. With the help of these Marines, I requested permission to present evidence to the commanding officer of the unlawful military execution of the vaccine mandate from Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin by generals of all services and by even local commanders and doctors in our branch medical clinics on Panhandle bases. This 1-inch binder contains a copy of the thorough report that the Marines and I put together and then presented to the commanding officer. Those documents prove that not one military member throughout any branch of service, anywhere in the country or around the world, had been immunized with an FDA-approved vaccine. They have all been vaccinated with the experimental emergency use authorization vaccines. And that's contrary to the way the mandate was written by the Biden administration. Our research further demonstrated that medical professionals were falsely documenting this in their medical records, saying that they were vaccinated by Comirnaty, the FDA approved, not anywhere around the United States, saying it was what was used when it was absolutely not. This evidence that's right there is also in numerous lawsuits against the Biden administration and against the Secretary himself. You'll be surprised how many lawsuits they are, but I'm not going to steal your thunder. I was graciously afforded 1 hour to speak with the Marine Colonel in command of these morally courageous Marines. I delivered that fact-filled report, and I implored him to review it, to reconsider his decision, and then to reinstate these warriors back into training, which at the 06 level, colonel level, he was afforded to do. But as we stand here today, not one of these Marines has been reinstated. One left active duty this morning of his own free will at the end of his contract to avoid disciplinary action, and you'll hear from him shortly. 12 more have had their religious exemptions denied, appeals returned, and unless successful intervention is made, that's where you come in, face Article 92 disciplinary action for separation in the coming weeks. And one of them will face that disciplinary action on Monday, right here in Pensacola. On May 14th, just last weekend, a few of these Marines had their families had an audience with Congressman Matt Gaetz. A bold move, considering they're still on active duty. Let's back it up 1 year to February 2021. The staggering numbers of active duty military members and reservists pushing back against Secretary Austin's unlawful execution of the mandate and the service chiefs sent a shockwave through the senior leadership of the military. They had not been faced with a significant challenge like that since the unlawful execution of the anthrax mandate over 2 decades ago, the one that I took before my cancer diagnosis 21 years ago. I think you see why I'm passionate about this. The unlawful mandate from 20 years ago only ended after bold military members stood up and pushed back and threatened leaving and resigning during a time of war. The large numbers of troops pushing back in 2021 brought out the absolute worst behavior in unit commanders and senior enlisted leaders. They resorted to documented coercion and bullying that is coming in these lawsuits. And in one such example, commanders used email sent to the entire command to identify those who are not vaccinated, information that is protected by HIPAA. And that kind of bullying, whether it be email or in groups, is forbidden. Here are the facts available to us that come from the medical databases that house the medical history of all military members. Yes, information that is available to all of us because it's been reported and published following a roundtable hearing with Senator Ron Johnson back in February. Yet this information has not been reported in local or national media. This data was compiled and presented to the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, by Senator Ron Johnson in February of this year. Since his February report, these numbers that I'm about to share have continued growing. Quoting from Senator Johnson's letter to the Secretary, based on data from the Defense Medical Epidemiology Database, DMED, whistleblowers found a significant increase in registered diagnoses of miscarriage, cancer, and many other medical conditions in 2021 compared to the 5-year 2016 to 2020 average. 1 year, vice 5. For example, registered diagnosis for neurological issues increased 10 times over that 5-year average from 82,000 in 5 years to 863,000 in 1 year. Do the math. Other shocking stats presented to the Secretary of Defense in this letter: 302% increase in tachycardia 1 year, 369% increase in testicular cancer. Anybody know somebody in uniform that's been diagnosed with testicular cancer in the last 2 years? There we go. 437% increase in ovarian dysfunction, 468% increase in pulmonary embolism, 473% increase in female infertility. These are athletes. These are our country's best and healthiest, right? They have the stamina, the health at their age to be professional athletes. I'll continue. 487% increase in breast cancer, 551% increase in Guillain-Barré syndrome, 680% increase in MS, multiple sclerosis, and a staggering 2,181% increase in hypertension. And there's more that were in that letter to the Secretary of Defense from Senator Johnson. As a retired Marine, I was fortunate to have the reputation and the relationship to bring this information to local area commanders. But I don't have access to the Commandant of the Marine Corps, nor do I personally have access to the dozens of generals and colonels that stand between the Commandant and the Marines that sit in here today. If I did, I would help push back on those illegal actions from the unlawful execution of the order. Better said, it is the job of these generals and colonels that I can't address to protect our loved ones in uniform. We entrust them with our brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters, our fathers and our mothers. We expect far better than we've received. Today, as China, North Korea, and Russia rattle sabers, is it wise to remove 6,000 more Marines who are unvaccinated? 4,000 active duty, 1,000 reserve, with 1,000 already removed, 18 enlisted from Pensacola, and 14 officers that are about to face separation? And my third and final question, why are you removing Marines from training for pursuing religious exemptions when your very own regulation signed in 12 July 2022 prevents the action? I close with this. I'm going to close the way I opened, reading Marine Corps Order 1730.9, accommodation, that's a good thing, of religious practices in the Marine Corps, which states, and I quote, an expression of sincerely held beliefs may not be used as a basis of any adverse personal action, discrimination, or denial of promotion, schooling, training, or assignment. I want to thank you for your attention.